Guys have ever seen the movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey and whoever the other lady is? But there's a specific part in the beginning of the movie, right? Where they first meet. And Jim Carrey gets on the back of her motorcycle. She takes a picture of him. And he says, "Oh my God, I can't see." And she goes, "I know, isn't it great?" And then she just swerves off into the other lane. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. The channeled message that I'm getting from that is the fact that she cannot see, and that makes her excited, versus meeting Jim Carrey's character in the story, and he was terrified. This channeled message may have something to do with some form of a partnership coming in, but what I specifically got in terms of channeled message is the concept of not being able to see. And see, here's the thing. We've been in a process for a really long time now of being in survival mode. So a lot of what we did was rooted in survival or trying to get out of it. And the funny part about that is that there comes a point in the journey of getting out of survival mode or getting out of or transitioning into the unknown, where it's just that it's once you finally make it to the tail end of like a wilderness season or getting out of survival mode, it looks like that. It looks like not knowing what to do anymore, being completely oblivious to what you are going to do next. And see, there are phases that come with that, right? The initial phase is terror. Because think about it, bro. Like, we have had goals and ambitions and things that we thought that we wanted to do for a really long time, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the funny thing is, some of those needs and desires were just rooted in survival. So some of these ambitions that you had in the past had a lot to do with, man, I just can't wait to get a home. Man, I can't wait to like finally find my footing. Man, I can't wait to finally get some money. I can't wait to finally have a partner. I can't wait to X, Y, and Z. See how a lot of these things sound coming back to you? Like, hearing it back sounds a little bit like, oh, well, that sounds a little simplistic. But confirmation. But here's the thing. Those desires are normal, but they're very core, very basic level needs. Because the root cause under all of those things that you're asking for is stability. When you're in survival mode, it makes sense to want to manifest stability because you're terrified, you're burnt out. It makes sense to want to just get your foot on solid ground. Going through a transition season for so long, it makes sense. It makes sense. And so it makes sense also that when you're finally starting to come out of survival mode, there's this quietness, this nothingness, this aimlessness, to where you don't have the same goals you used to. Or at the very least, the urgency associated with that is no longer there. And again, that's terrifying at first, because it's like, well, I just feel lazy. I feel like I don't know what to do with my life anymore. I feel like I don't know where to go, what to do, how to move, what am I, you know what I mean? That quietness can be terrifying. But the second phase of that, and I feel like we're coming up on the second phase. If you haven't already, you're headed towards it. There's a second phase to that. Stepping into the unknown, when it stops becoming so terrifying, it becomes liberating, which is the second phase. It becomes liberating in a way that is almost similar to what the movie was talking about. To not know is liberating. And it's very interesting, right? There's a lot of nuances in the movies that we watch that touch on this. It's specifically the movies that talk about spirituality or try to give a little bit of an undertone on the meaning of life, not maybe as direct, but in movies like Yes Man and movies like even the Disney movies that we watch, where they talk about the meaning of life, or even the movie Mufasa, his upbringing, his background story was, his mother even talked about it a little bit and was telling him, like, to be lost is to be found and to know the way. It's always hinted in the books that we read, in the movies that we watch, the shows that we watch. It's a liberating feeling associated with not knowing once you make it past the initial fear. And it's because, like, once you allow the unknown to be what it is, you realize that is a clear, open road. Anything can happen. Literally anything can happen. And I want you for just a moment to sit with this. After you hear this video, I want you to really sit with that. Not just with the supercharged emotion of fear, like, oh my God, like anything can happen, all the negative things. You have to give your imagination something else to do than just ruminate over all the bad things. Because think about it, a lot of the bad things have already happened to you, haven't they? Oh yes. Oh yes. Yes, it has. Okay. If you have been walking on this journey with us, oh yeah, a lot of the bad things have already happened. Some of you guys have been through seasons of or cycles in terms of your money, in terms of the people that you met, in terms of the opportunities that came or didn't come. Like, a lot of these things ain't new. And it gets to a point in your life sometimes where you almost have to allow yourself to take the worry out of it, because a lot of the same things tend to have, it's the same thing showing up in a different form. It may not be the same person, but it's the same lesson. It may not be the same hit, but it gets to a point where when you go through a lot of things, at some point you start to implement faith, because you have overwhelming evidence that regardless of how many hits I take, I'm going to be okay. I think it was a movie that I watched, After Earth, with Will Smith. And I think I mentioned this to you guys before, but he said a quote to his son in that movie that said, danger is very real, but fear is a choice. Fear is something that you choose. Danger is something that's right up in your face. You can deal with it head on. And so for a lot of us, we've been dealing with this fear. It's intangible, it's spiritual, it's uncertainty. It's understandable, but it's getting to a point, and I remember channeling this for us not too long ago, where I talked about this freedom, where we get to this point where the surrender is just a natural part of the next steps that we take. It's liberating. Because once you finally take a step out of all of the fears, all of the gunk, and you realize, like, there's literally an open road in front of me, it gives room for new things to come. I'd rather have a blank canvas than a canvas that's filled with all this shit that I'm trying to get rid of. Because see, for a lot of us, we're hitting this glass ceiling. And what that may look like for some of you is you're starting to feel claustrophobic, anxious. You're starting to feel like you've outgrown it, but at the same time, there's this level of peace associated with whatever it is that's coming. It's almost like reaching a point of, I don't care anymore. I wonder why. If you guys have been watching and actually listening to my content, you understand the principles of what it means to surrender. And it looks different for everybody. But the concept of a glass ceiling, there's this pressure associated with it before it breaks. And sometimes you don't really realize once the glass ceiling has actually broken, because there's this exhaustion phase, this I don't care anymore, this surrender, this, okay, let me just leave it alone. Not even knowing that that's you breaking past the glass. No one talks about that. No one talks about what it actually looks like when you break the glass ceiling that once felt claustrophobic. And it almost feels like a box closing in until you finally just bust through it. There is a liberation associated with not knowing what's going to happen next. And I've got a feeling that there is this wave of peace coming over you. And it's coming.